Well, you've heard it before. In fact, you've heard it if you've been following this series. Maybe you've even said it yourself. It's in my genes. my whole family is like this. I've always been built this way. But what if that excuse has been quietly sabotaging your health? What if blaming genetics is the very thing keeping you from the change you're fully capable of? Today we expose the genetics excuse for what it really is. It's a clever myth, a socially acceptable way of giving up. And we replace it with something much more powerful: accountability, action, and the truth that you're not your DNA. Today on the Personalized Fitness Podcast. Welcome to the Personalized Fitness Podcast. I'm Garrett Williamson, and today we wrap up our 5-part series on genetics, one of the most misunderstood, overused, and misrepresented pieces of health, and especially in the aging conversation. Now, if you've been with us for episodes 1 through 4, you've heard the truth. Yes, genes matter, but they are not your fate. In this final episode, we're going to tackle the psychology behind the genetics excuse, explain why it's so seductive, and show you how you can reject it for good. There is an appeal of blame or why the genetics excuse feels so good. Let's be honest. Saying it's genetic takes the pressure off. If your condition is hardwired, then you're not responsible. You don't have to change. And no one can blame you for staying stuck. It's the ultimate hall pass for inaction. But here's the problem. Excuses offer comfort, but never change. They might feel good in the moment, but over time, they cost you everything. Blaming genetics becomes a shield against effort, against hope, and ultimately against results. The science has moved on, so it's time we do too. Here's the kicker. Science no longer supports the set-in-stone view of genetics. We now know about epigenetics, lifestyle turning genes on and off, gene expression variants based on behavior, environmental impact on identical twins' health outcomes, and a mountain of studies showing genes are highly modifiable through exercise, nutrition, mindset, and sleep. Yet the average doctor visit still sounds like it's 1972. You have your father's cholesterol. You're genetically predisposed to be overweight. It runs in your family. Yeah, so do dinner recipes, coping skills, and attitudes towards aging. Let's update the narrative. The real danger here is what we call learned helplessness. There's a psychological phenomenon called, as I say, learned helplessness. It happens when a person feels so powerless for so long that they stop even trying, even when the situation changes. The genetics excuse breeds exactly that. When people are told again and again that decline is inevitable, that their genes are broken, that it's just how it is, they stop trying. They don't exercise because it won't help. They don't change their diet because my whole family eats this way. And they don't challenge themselves because it's too late anyway. This mindset doesn't just stall progress. It accelerates decline and is the biggest danger of the genetics excuse. And it's not the genes doing the damage. It's the excuse that convinces you to do nothing. Excuses are made of fear, not fact. Why do people reach for the genetics excuse so quickly? Because it's less painful than hope. Hope implies risk. Hope says, try again. Hope demands change, and change is uncomfortable. But it's far easier to say, it's in my bloodline, than I haven't made the effort yet. The genetics excuse is rarely about science. It's about emotion. It's about avoiding responsibility, shame, or failure. And I get it. No one likes feeling like they've wasted time or effort. But if you don't let go of the excuse, you'll never get the reward. Effort still works, even with bad genes. Let's reframe this. Even if you don't have predisposition towards something, so what? High cholesterol gene, fiber, exercise, omega-3 still lower it. Obesity gene, caloric balance still trumps DNA in the long run. Alzheimer's gene, exercise, community, and sleep still daily offset that. The interventions still work. You don't get to throw in the towel because you're holding a slightly tougher hand. Life isn't fair, but it's responsive, and your body rewards effort every time. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. What the genetics excuse may really be covering. Maybe you don't want to track your meals. Maybe you hate exercising. Maybe you're afraid to fail. Maybe change feels overwhelming. These are valid emotions, but let's call them what they are. Because saying it's in my genes is a lie. If the truth is, I don't want to be uncomfortable. You deserve honesty. Because honesty leads to agency, and agency leads to results. All right, how are we going to retire this excuse without shame? How do you break up with the genetics excuse without feeling ashamed and overwhelmed? Simply try this process. Acknowledge your story. You've probably been told this narrative since childhood. That's okay. Separate fact from fear. Ask, is this actually true or just something I've believed? Find a counterexample. There are tons of them. Someone with the same bad genes who changed their outcome. Pick one action, not perfection, just progress. Walk 10 minutes a day. Cut one soda. Meditate 3 minutes. Do some minor change. And track a new narrative. Write down wins. Watch for improvements. Reinforce the truth. Your effort matters. Let me give you some quotes to rethink this whole gene excuse. Quote, DNA is not your destiny, it's a draft. Dr. David Sinclair. Quote, you are not stuck with the genes you were born with. Dr. Dean Ornish. This is one of my favorites, and I hate that I don't have the author from this. Quote, excuses are just well-planned lies. Quote, your biology adapts to your beliefs. Dr. Bruce Lipton. Quote, genes load the gun, behavior pulls the trigger. Unquote, Dr. Andrew Weil. Which one of these do you need to hear today? Let's let the genetics excuse end here. If you remember nothing else from the series, remember this. Genetics may be the blueprint, but you are the architect. And buildings only rise when someone picks up the hammer. You're not broken. You're not bound, and you're definitely not finished. Let this be the episode where you say, no more excuses. I'm rewriting my outcome. Now, this wraps up our genetics series on the Personalized Fitness Podcast, but if this challenged your thinking or reminded you of your power, maybe even made you mad, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And most importantly, if we can help, if nothing else, just help you change that narrative. Help show you a different way of looking at it, or something that you have a question about, a condition that you think you have that you can't change. Hey, reach out to us. Call us at area code 251-278-3343. Reach out to me directly, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. Personaledgefitness.com is our website. You can contact us there. Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook. Contact us on X at Team PE. Listen, there is no expiration date on your ability. And you remember, the 4 components of ability, fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, really determine whether or not you decline. Changing that narrative about time passing on the calendar or your genetics are hardwired to dictating your future. Well, changing that narrative is just one more way we help you reach your level of wellness. Thank you again for listening. Thank you again for paying attention to the entire series. Please share it with somebody you think might get some help, and I'll see you next time.